To Suthichai Live English Podcast. The Constitutional Court yesterday handed down a verdict removing Paetongtarn from the position of the Thai Prime Minister in a bombshell decision. The ruling found her guilty of serious ethical violations and lack of prudence in her duty to protect national interest, leading to the termination of her premiership. The core of the case revolves around a leaked audio clip of a private conversation between Paetongtarn and Hun Sen, Cambodia's Senate President, concerning a border dispute between Thailand and Cambodia. She was not found dishonest. The court determined her actions and choice of language during the discussion prioritized personal political gain over national security, thereby undermining the Prime Minister's and Thailand's reputation. So she was not dishonest, but she was unethical. And that became a big political shift in Thailand's landscape, prompting the parliament to next week schedule to pick a new prime minister. And that's another chapter in Thailand's turbulent politics. Let's get Ping and Pong to dive into this. Hi, Ping and Pong.
Welcome to Suthichai Live English Podcast. I am Ping.
And I am Pong. We are Suthichai's team of commentators.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving into a really significant development from Thailand's constitutional court.
Yeah, a big one.
It's a deep dive into how, seemingly private words can end up triggering these high-stakes ethical problems for national leaders.
Exactly. We're looking at the recent ruling on former Prime Minister Paetongtarn. And it's fascinating because it presents this kind of paradox.
Right.
We'll explore the detailed thinking behind why she was found not guilty of dishonesty.
Okay.
But guilty of a serious ethical violation. And that difference, that specific finding, is what led to her removal and her whole cabinet going with her.
And it all circles back to one audio clip, doesn't it?
It really does. It's quite a lesson, in the tightrope walk leaders face.
So let's get right to the core of it. What were the key questions the court was really wrestling with here?
Well, they looked at two critical issues. Both came out of that private chat Paetongtarn had with Hun Sen, the Cambodian Senate President.
About the border situation, right? Very sensitive stuff.
Extremely sensitive. So, issue one, was there a lack of integrity? Basically, dishonesty.
And on that
one, the court, by a narrow 5-4 majority, found her not guilty.
Okay, now that's where it gets really interesting. How could she discuss something so sensitive, maybe even state secrets, informally and not be found dishonest? That seems tricky.
It does, but it really highlights a specific legal distinction, you see. The court focused purely on her direct intent and, crucially, the tangible outcome.
Meaning,
their reasoning was she didn't actually accept any of Hun Sen's specific demands or proposals, and really importantly, nothing actually changed on the ground.
Okay.
No changes to military command structure, no opening or closing of border checkpoints because of that conversation.
Right.
So they found her intention, or at least the intention they could discern, was actually to uphold the national interests, prevent conflict, keep the peace.
Yeah.
Despite how informal it all was.
So, a high bar for proving actual dishonesty then. It needed a concrete negative action or clear malicious intent.
Seems that way, yes. But then there's the second issue.
The serious violation of political ethics. And here the verdict was different.
Very different. A 6-3 majority found her guilty on this one.
So, help us, and you the listener, understand this. If she wasn't dishonest, why the serious ethical problem? It feels a bit contradictory.
It does raise that question, doesn't it? The court drew a really sharp line here. They talked about the prime minister's dual role.
Private person versus public official?
Exactly. As a public official, especially the PM, your freedoms are much more curtailed, particularly when national security is involved. The content of her chat border issues, national security, That's what shifted
It
it.
wasn't just a casual chat anymore.
No. It became an official matter, needing the absolute highest level of prudence. The court pointed to specific language she used.
Like what? What words were so damaging?
Well, things like referring to herself in Hun Sen as "we Rao" in Thai, while calling the Thai army commander opposite us.
That suggests division.
Precisely. It hinted at a lack of unity within her own government military, and the court felt Cambodia could see that as political weakness, maybe an opening to interfere.
So the perception it created was itself damaging.
Yes, damaging to Thailand's standing, even without a specific action following. But the real kicker, the most damning phrase according to the court,
Go on.
was something like, "Have mercy on your granddaughter. People are chasing us all to Cambodia to be PM. Seriously, if you want anything, just tell me. I'll take care of it."
Wow. Okay. That sounds... Yeah.
The court read that as basically a preemptive capitulation, like a willingness to potentially act without even knowing the conditions.
Not a good look for negotiations.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's suggested she might put maybe personal popularity or just keeping the government stable ahead of the core national interest. That damaged her reputation, Thailand's reputation, and eroded public trust. That failure of prudence of judgment, that was the ethical violation.
Not necessarily dishonesty, but a serious lapse in judgment expected of a leader.
That's the distinction the court made.
And the evidence, this audio clip, it was recorded without her consent, right?
Right.
How did the court handle that?
Yeah, that's another fascinating bit. She actually admitted it was real, called it a real clip.
So its authenticity wasn't disputed by her.
No. And the court basically decided that finding the facts and ensuring justice in this specific constitutional case was paramount. They determined no specific law actually prohibited using it here.
Interesting. So the fallout, what were the immediate consequences?
Well, immediate and severe. Her premiership was terminated, but retroactively. Backdated to July 1st, 2568, which is when she was first suspended.
And that meant...
That meant her entire cabinet was dissolved along with her. A complete reset at the top.
And is that the end of the story for her, legally speaking?
Oh, likely not.
Yeah.
The National Anti-Corruption Commission, the NACC, they've already started another inquiry
Into what, specifically?
into these serious ethical violations, but also potentially looking at broader charges, like maybe under Article 157.
Which covers?
Things like malfeasance or negligence by officials in their duties. So this could have further legal legs.
Wow. This whole deep dive just vividly shows that incredibly fine line leaders walk, doesn't it? Where personal intent can crash right into public perception and national security demands.
Absolutely. It underscores that critical difference.
It really leaves us, and you listening, with a big question to think about. How much personal leeway, if any, should a national leader really have when talking about sensitive state matters, even if they think it's a private conversation?
Thank you for following Suthichai Live English Podcast. Stay tuned for the next episode.
Yeah, thank you, Big Cat Pong. But now let's get into the explainer. I have to explain it point by point. So let's go right down to the explainer. It's a video clip that will explain in very simple language to people not familiar with Thai politics. Let's get onto it.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a massive political shockwave out of Thailand. We're talking about a prime minister being removed from office, and believe it or not, this whole thing kicked off because of a single recorded phone call.
All right, so let's get right into it. The big question is, why was Thailand's Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra actually removed from office by a court? It all came to a head on August 29th, 2058. That's the year 2025 for those of us using the Gregorian calendar, when the Constitutional Court dropped this bombshell decision. So what on earth happened?
So here's the thing. This wasn't just about one person. The court's ruling didn't just oust the prime minister. Nope, it took down her entire cabinet with her. We're talking a full-on government dismissal, a huge political reset. And to make it even more dramatic, the decision was retroactive, going all the way back to July 1st, which was the day she was first suspended. So where did this all begin? Well, the whole thing traces back to one single piece of evidence, a leaked audio clip, a really controversial one. On this recording, you could hear the Prime Minister talking about some very sensitive border issues with none other than Hun Sen, Cambodia's incredibly influential Senate president. And you've got to understand, this was not just some friendly, casual phone call. Not at all. This conversation happened when tensions on the Thai-Cambodian border were sky high. I mean, there had been actual clashes near the Chongbuk Pass.
So you can imagine any conversation like this was just incredibly high stakes.
Okay, and this is the line that really sealed her fate. In the leaked audio, she's heard saying, "If you want anything, just tell me, I'll take care of it." Just think about that for a second. Making an offer like that so open-ended to a foreign leader right in the middle of a national security crisis? Wow. That phrase became the absolute centerpiece of the entire legal case against her.
Now, you might be thinking, wait, a leaked clip? Is that even legal evidence? And that's exactly what her team argued, that it was obtained illegally. But here's the twist. The court said, yes, we can use it. And the reason why is fascinating. It's because the Prime Minister herself went on the record and admitted it's a real clip. The moment she did that, boom, it gave the recording all the legal weight it needed.
So, this brings us to the legal battle itself. And it's really important to get is that this wasn't just one simple charge. The court was looking at her actions through the lens of two totally separate constitutional allegations. And how they decided on each one is absolutely critical to understanding how this all played out.
All right, so let's break down these two charges. On one hand, you have the question of integrity. The court had to ask, was she being fundamentally dishonest? Was her character or intent in question? Then, on the other hand, there was the ethical breach charge. This one's different. It asks, even if she meant well, did her actions themselves violate the super high ethical standard you expect from a prime minister? See? Two very different questions, and everything depended on how the judges answered them.
And this, right here, is where the whole thing gets really interesting. Because the final verdict wasn't a straightforward guilty or not guilty. Nope, it was a split decision. And that split is precisely why she was removed from power. It's kind of complicated, but so important.
Okay, so let's look at that first charge, the one about her integrity. On this one, she was actually found not guilty, but it was incredibly close, a 5-4 vote. The judges who sided with her basically said, look, she never actually agreed to give Hun Sen anything specific. They saw her words as an attempt to cool things down, to de-escalate a really dangerous situation. But then came the second charge, the serious ethical breach. And on this one, the verdict was the complete opposite. It wasn't close at all. A decisive 6-3 majority found her guilty. And that was the knockout blow. That was the ruling that brought down not just her, but her entire government.
So why? What was the reasoning? Well, this quote from the ruling really sums it up. The court basically said she put personal benefit above national interest. In their eyes, she was more worried about her own political image and keeping her government stable than she was about protecting Thailand's interests in a supercritical negotiation. Ouch.
The court really laid out their case. They pointed to a few key things. For one, she talked about her own army commander as being on the opposite side. You can see how that would look like the government and military weren't on the same page. Then there was that unconditional offer to help, which they said was just not cautious enough and could have really weakened Thailand's position. All in all, they concluded her actions just damaged public trust and lowered the dignity of the Prime Minister's office.
So, just like that, there's a huge power vacuum. This decision sent massive ripples across the entire political landscape. The big question on everyone's mind is, okay, so what happens now? What are the immediate consequences, and what's next for Thailand? Well, the immediate fallout was swift and automatic, really. It's all laid out in the Constitution. Step 1, the Prime Minister is out. Her term is officially over. Step 2, since the head of the government is gone, the whole cabinet has to go too. They're dismissed right along with her. It's a package deal.
Now, you'd think that would be the end of it, right? The court has spoken, case closed. But not so fast. This whole ordeal raises one last, really crucial question about what the future holds for her, both politically and legally.
And the answer to that question is a big fat no. This is not over. Why? Because there's a completely separate investigation still happening. The National Anti-Corruption Commission is looking into the exact same ethical breach. And that means the door is still wide open for even more legal trouble down the road. So, as big as this political shockwave has been, the aftershocks might still be coming.
Thank you so much. And this is how we explain this very important, complicated case which has toppled the Thai Prime Minister for all English-speaking audiences. Thank you for following Suthichai Live English podcast. Thank you. Stay tuned for the next